Today we're talking about villainizing other people and the risk that comes with that. So if this is Christy Shell with Zeal Coaching, I will put my knife away. But today we're talking about the idea of villainizing others and how that really interrupts our own way of like rational thinking and getting curious and problem solving. Good morning, Lisa. How are you? So today I did it again. I do it quite often. I am really good at villainizing other people, and I'm not proud of it, and I work really hard to overcome it on a regular basis. But I get caught in this, and I think many other people do too, about when something unexpected happens, or you don't agree, or you don't understand, we quickly villainize others. So my quick story this week is I am a president of a little nonprofit, and we're working with trying to rent one of our spaces in a building we own. And during the conversations about the leases, I really start villainizing the organization that wants to lease this. I'm not proud of it, not at all. But I get really, I am like bashing them. I'm talking about how horrible they are. I'm, doing all of these things to really, not because I'm frustrated, because they don't agree with me, because we're trying to come to agreement and there's some frustration and there's some friction. And I was already tired, and I'm already dealing with allergies, and there's a lot of things going on inside this organization that we're really trying to work through. So I was already heightened, and I think that's easy to do when you already have stress, is to quickly villainize other people. So what is villainizing, right? Villainizing is we're really making that person be the villain, okay? There's something called a drama triangle, and what we all do is we constantly kind of identify with these roles, and we don't have to. One is the villain, right? One is the hero, and one is a victim, okay? And today we're just talking about villainizing, but often we villainize from the victim mentality or the hero because we're going to rescue and do all these things. So then we villainize a situation. But here's what happens, is when you villainize somebody else, you become the villain, right? You become so irrational in your judgment and in your blame and your complaint and your accusations that you become the villain in the situation. And so it's really important to kind of stop and go, okay, I'm villainizing. But here are some symptoms or ways to know if you're villainizing. You're complaining or blaming, right? You're saying horrible things about people. You may be gossiping. You are have a lot of judgment in your statements, and you probably are saying a lot of them. Well, they and them and da-da-da, and it's a very us and them kind of mentality. And what happens is we're trying to take this victim role of this is happening to me, this person is doing this to me, and then we actually become the villain because we are lashing out at them. So this is horrible for relationships. This is horrible for trying to work inside of an organization. This is horrible if you're trying to teach your children how to be open and loving and work with other people. It applies across the board. So watch where you start to villainize. I do this, I try not to do it, but I really, what the change or what the situation is with this situation with this nonprofit and this potential tenant for our building was I had to really say, what don't I understand here? This is really the key to get out of villainization, is to start getting curious, because there's something you don't understand. There's something the agreement or the space between the two different perspectives. There's something in between that we don't understand their thinking. And so how do we get into a place where we start getting curious, we give them grace, we assume intentions aren't negative, and we start to move down the road where we can even potentially have them as an ally or have them as someone that you really want to work with and grow a relationship. So this is happening all over our country right now, just very much the us and them. And one of the things is just really to get curious about the other perspective and where they're coming from. Now, there are definitely villains in the world, don't get me wrong. There are people who are naturally evil, and usually they're working out of fear, right? Which is what villainization is that we're working out of fear, and blame is we're afraid and we're trying to rationalize our thinking and what if we're wrong and that type of thing. So really thinking about how do you get to a place where you're like, I'm going to be curious to understand. You don't have to agree, but when there is negative and evil and it really, goes against your values, that's fine. Like, cross the street, get away from that evil villainization. There's also mental health and that aspect of it, and we want to villainize those people instead of saying, wow, they're really sick. So there's just very different shift in the way that we really think about how or why we're villainizing people. But notice in yourself, you start getting heated, you start getting angry, you get very self-righteous, you do all of these things, and it does not help you get to a solution. It really freezes you, and it puts up this big wall or blockade for people. And so it's really interesting to think about, how do you stop villainizing other people so you can get to solutions, okay? Plus, villainizing is this kind of grievous, kind of cancer, toxic energy type of thing that you're putting into your body. And it isn't helping you. It's just creating more tension. It's creating more angst inside of your life. So first, just noticing, the tips are about how to do this is noticing when you're starting to get heated. How do you step away? How do you recenter? How do you calm yourself and get to a place where you can make a different decision? So deep breaths. The question you just kind of say is, what don't I understand about this situation? What do I need to know more of? And what happened in my situation with this lease issue was, it was a lot of miscommunication, a lot of assumptions, a lot of not having clarity about people's rationalization. And as soon as I get calm and I couldn't really hear the real explanations because I'm so in my villainization and my self-rationalization. So really notice how you calm and how you think and how to get curious and how to give grace and how to understand other people are flawed, or maybe they can't communicate with you in the way you want. Or do we go even directly to them and ask these questions in a calm and rational way instead of getting super heightened and really in kind of a turmoil state? So the question really, again, is ask yourself, what don't I understand? And maybe I'm making decisions off of bad information. So what could be been misconstrued? What assumptions? Those kinds of things. And really being open and willing to dig into it is really the critical piece here. So, because sometimes we can say, how could I make this person an ally? We could actually go to that extreme. Like, they may have a different understanding or a different perspective that we do, and we can start to bring those together. I know it sounds very Pollyanna-ish, but it really can happen, and I've seen it happen multiple times. And even in this situation with the lease with this nonprofit, it's happened with us. I really want to encourage you to think about, where are you villainize other people and where are you very much us and them? And there's a gap in your understanding of why people are doing or thinking the way that they do. So today, that is our coffee talk with Christy. It's very serious, but it's a really valuable piece because I think most people go to villainization or victim to villain very, very quickly. So this is Christy Schell with Zeal Coaching, and if you are looking for some support around conflict resolution or around small teams and group dynamics. We do that kind of work. We're having a lot of fun with some teams right now. And I really want to offer you any services that you might have in finding and living the life that rocks you. So have a wonderful day. Enjoy the beautiful weekend. And we'll see you next Friday. Thanks.